Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the new episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. I'm one of your hosts, MrBooMStickXL, and with me, as usual, unfortunately, due to a family emergency, the Welsh gamer is not here. Just to give everyone a heads up, he is doing okay. His family is fine. He just was in a bit of a tough spot. And he will be back next week, but showing up like a superhero that he is to save the day, my very good friend, the saltiest gamer, he stepped in and he's going to be with us for the entire episode. Salty, welcome, dude.
Hey, man, you hit that salt signal early this morning. My kid woke me up and I answered the call. So here I am, man. You want to talk Xbox? Let's do it.
Yeah, well, I'm really happy you're here. We had a great episode yesterday on Gaming News at Noon with Salty and Boom on your channel. I definitely highly suggest people checking that out. We powered through at least a dozen topics. It was great,
Yep.
A lot of information. So listen, when I do these shows, I try to be a little bit of a walk outside of the box. It's real easy to turn around and just pick a topic from someone that, someone like EGM or one of the, the news media places and say, okay, we're going to talk about this. But every now and again, I kind of like to create my own content. So here, we're going to go with this. The first topic is very interesting. So Salty, here's the thing. We know that Spider-Man sold extremely well on the PlayStation 4. As a matter of fact, it's sold 10 plus million copies since its September 7th launch, right? And during the Game Awards of 2018, hosted by Jeff Keighley, Marvel Studios and Nintendo shocked the world with a very unexpected Marvel Ultimate Alliance as a Nintendo Switch exclusive. Still blows my mind. I cannot wait to play this game. I'm expecting it to sell very well considering the mobile nature of the Switch. It's going to resonate with everyone who's undoubtedly a Marvel fan, and the MCU is hot right now. So without sounding like a boob, I think it's reasonable to say that there are probably at least 45 plus million Xbox One S and Xbox One X consoles worldwide. So it's very safe to assume that Marvel Studios wants to make as much money as possible, and getting an Xbox One Marvel exclusive, I think, is a must for the platform in 2019 and beyond. So Salty, I have two questions here. It's two prongs. So I'm going to go with the first one. In your professional opinion, because we are professionals, what we do, I like to consider ourselves that, because we do a lot of work behind the scenes on these shows to entertain people. Do you think, in your professional opinion, that it is an absolute must for the Xbox platform to garner their own Marvel exclusive in the same vein as Ultimate Alliance 3 and Spider-Man for the PS4?
I mean, if you look at it from a business perspective, if you're trying to stay competitive on a business side, it is a must, because, you look at your competitors, direct competitors, Nintendo's out there with Ultimate Alliance, and then you got, Sony with the Spider-Man situation and how successful that was. So I would say from a business perspective, yeah, it's a no-brainer. And you look at how rich and deep those properties are, especially with Marvel, and specifically, the MCU and how popular that is. I don't think it'd be a stretch to say that you could get one of your developers that you acquired, or maybe even put someone else special on there, make a good deal, and put out a game that would sell gangbusters. Honestly, I think it in this, with comic books and how popular it is, I just think it's a no-brainer. Boom, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, actually, here's the thing. We know that Microsoft behind the scenes have been doing a lot of handshaking and, in-office meetings with plenty of developers and companies. And there's a lot of that information that we're not privy to. Obviously, we know 2019 has the potential to be very special for the Xbox brand and its millions of fans. There's no doubt about that. E3 is going to be incredible. We know that Sony has pulled out, basically just conceding the space for Microsoft to take over. I mean, listen, if you don't show up to E3, you're basically saying that either you don't give a shit or it's not important to you. And obviously, thanks to Phil Spencer being, proactive when talking about E3, he said it was important to the Microsoft brand, and I believe him when he says that. At the same time, being that they're going to have the stage in June, I would be hoping that they've been working on something behind the scenes that we don't know about. That's been, like one of those super secret projects that we do get something from Marvel. Because, like I said, I agree with you. I think when you look at the business size, and the one thing that you like to tout is that you're a numbers dude. Like
Yep.
you like
Yep.
analytics, and so do I. I think it's very interesting to just sit back and talk about games in an article, but it's also interesting to sit back and talk about gaming as a business. And you and I both see eye to eye on that. And if I was Marvel Studios, if I was sitting on this boardroom, or in the boardroom rather, I would be like, well, wait a second. We really knocked it out of the park with Spider-Man. We sold 10 plus million copies there. Ultimate Alliance 3 is going to sell like gangbusters for the Switch.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. But I want a piece of the Xbox pie. And sometimes, I feel like the Xbox community doesn't matter. I don't know if that's a fair way to say it, because listen, we know what happened in 2013. We know that everything has been rectified from 2017 on, and it's a great time to be an Xbox gamer. There's no doubt. But at the same time, I sometimes feel a little left out that we don't have an exclusive to our brand in the same vein. So here's my next question to you, dude. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you were in this boardroom, if you had the final say of this exclusive coming to the Xbox platform for all the Xbox players to buy and cheer, what superhero character from their Marvel roster would you pick?
So this was kind of tough for me because how deep the roster is, but with how popular Black Panther is, you know what I'm saying, and
Strong title.
How awesome that character is and how strong that movie did. If I was someone in the boardroom and I was asked this question, it would probably be a no-brainer for me, because you look at the success of that movie and where it came from, and it did extremely well. It has a deep lineup. You look at the character itself, awesome character, potential for powers, the suit that they upgraded, when he gets hit it explodes. I just think there's a lot of potential there, and you could do a lot of things with the character. If you look at the other side, like DC, like how successful Aquaman is, that's a property that is just at its infancy right now, because when people think of Aquaman, it's not like an A-list character for a lot of people. But like with the success of the movie, now that you can see going forward that's going to be a focal point for the DC. And then with Marvel, with the Black Panther property, I think that if you got in at the ground level right now with the video game, I think that would be really good for Xbox.
Yeah, that's actually a really strong title. And because he has superhuman strength, he could basically, he's jumping from tree to tree. He would easily be able to go from building to building. I would like to see, if they did Black Panther, which I think is just an absolute fantastic choice. It would be. I'd like to see it take place in the jungle. I'd like to see it take place in different parts of the world. Wakanda, of course, would be the main area where he would be doing his thing, so to speak. For me, I'm going to go on a little bit of a deep cut here. And only because I'm from New York, and I really enjoy this character. It's the Marvel Universe's Batman. I want to say Moon Knight. He's obviously he's a bit of a deep cut, but he does play. He does, act and, zip around very similar to what Batman does. And you see what they were able to do with Arkham City and Arkham Asylum and the rest of the Arkham games. So I would like to pick Moon Knight as one of them. But I want to throw another wild card in here, and I want to say Daredevil. I think Daredevil is Obviously, he's tremendously popular. He had 3 outstanding seasons on Netflix. It's almost a sin in the comic book universe that Netflix is no longer going to be doing these series. But we know that Marvel is doing their own streaming service, so we'll see the Daredevil back again. I would say Daredevil would be a strong choice also. Again, very much like Batman. He can swing around. He doesn't need superpowers. He just beats the shit out of everybody. Yeah, that was a really good choice. I like the way the topic went. Anything else you'd like to add to it before we move on?
Nah, man, I feel like it's untapped potential. I was asked on Twitter because I was posting about Star Wars and what's going on with the games and stuff, and people were like, "Why can't Star Wars be like the MCU and the popularity with the movies and stuff like that?" And I was just like, "Man, the comic book genre just needs to be made into games, man. Too many properties, too good to be just sitting there, so if it's Xbox or it's somewhere else, let's get more of these video games. That's all I gotta say.
No, I mean that makes perfect sense. I mean, you're absolutely correct.
Yep.
It is untapped. We've seen right, like I said, right now the MCU is at its highest. We have 3 massive Marvel movies this year, in Spider-Man, Far From Home, Captain Marvel, which is in March, which I cannot wait for, and of course, Avengers Endgame, which is going to be just outstanding. So yeah, absolutely untapped market. But you know what? I want to move on to the next topic, and we touched on this yesterday on your channel, and I kind of want to just go into it a little bit deeper. According to the Ubisoft CEO, he says that the next generation consoles, and we're talking about Scarlet. We know he was also referring to the PlayStation 5. Is not going to be relevant past the new generation. And I got to be honest with you, I think it's a bit of an outrageous statement. Here's the thing. We know that home consoles sell. I mean, the PlayStation 4 is a perfect example of that. And listen, the Xbox, not too shabby, 45 plus million, will probably hit 55-ish million before the end of the generation and before they move on to the next family of consoles. But you know what? When speaking with Variety, which is where I got this article from, the Ubisoft's co-founder Yves Guillemot suggested, now he didn't say this was in stone, but he suggested that we'll see one more round of conventional consoles before streaming becomes more accessible to many players and may make it not necessary for gamers to need to purchase an actual console. Now, here's the thing. Whether or not the industry is indeed moving in this direction remains to be seen. Though services like the Xbox Game Pass demonstrates that consumers, publishers, and developers are willing to buy into the streaming model through the financial toll it takes on publishers and developers in the long term when making these consoles. Now, Salty, I know we talked about it yesterday, but do you think that maybe he's looking too far into the future and possibly, again, he's CEO and I'm nobody, possibly not understanding the scope of the gaming future?
I mean, it's interesting because he's like, the way he worded it, it kind of gave him an out a little bit.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It's tough to look at the future and say, hey, this is going to be an all or nothing proposition. Because I don't like looking in black and white when it comes to certain scenarios or situations, because in reality, that's not the way, life works. When you're phasing things out, it doesn't completely get phased out. Technology advances and progresses, but man, to fully expect gamers to rely on one method of receiving their games, that's kind of narrowed in your viewpoint in scope. I don't think it's going to be completely phased out ever, honestly. I just think that the technology is going to improve. It's going to get better. Maybe the population increases, the amount of people that choose to use that as their medium or their main method of receiving games. Yeah, that's going to go up. But to fully expect the whole population 100% to say, hey, this is my method of receiving my entertainment, that's not going to happen. Okay, if that makes sense.
No, it actually
You know,
makes perfect sense. I mean, listen,
yeah,
I think the way you're speaking is very senseful, if you will.
yeah,
Listen, here's the thing, Salty, and I could see gaming going to a digital and streaming direction. I mean, it's the writing's on the wall.
yeah.
Take a guy like me, right? Like I'm an old school gamer, right? I've been gaming for over 40 years. I used to have a physical collection was second to nobody of all my friends. Like it was ridiculous how much physical media I had. And then as you get older, these things take up space. So right now I'm running 14 terabytes and I have 830 something games on my hard drive for the Xbox One X. So again, do I miss it? Yes, I do. I actually miss looking, you walk past your living room and you look in your cabinet and there's all of those games there. It's
Mhm.
impressive, but to say that, everything is going to be eventually going to digital media, I'm going to
Mm-mm.
say, I'm going to agree with you 100%. I'm going to say that he's wrong for that because, you take people like in our community, in the circles that we run, and I like to give them, two shout outs. So first of all, Noof Nukem, great
Yep.
community member, guy. He's part of your panel on the Saltiest podcast, which goes live tonight at 9 p.m.
Yep.
Eastern Standard Time. He's a physical media dude. Like he is really, really against the whole digital thing. Like when he talks about it, you can hear him grinding his teeth in frustration. Right? I mean, I'm not lying. And then, of course, another lovely individual of the community, Lady Foxfire. She still buys everything with physical, and she's a big collector of statues. She's a big collector of the the special edition tins for the games, the collector cases, and she likes her physical media. So I mean, they're not the only ones in the community. There are plenty of people who enjoy their physical media. So when a person in a big position, and being the CEO of Ubisoft, I
Mhm.
don't think it gets any better, to be honest with you. Um, you know, I understand his point. Like I said, he knows things that we don't know. And it, of course, is his opinion. He is a businessman. We are gamers. So, of course, we're going to look at it from two different angles. But I also, I want to finish this topic off by saying I think it was bullish of him to make that statement. Anything else you'd like to add,
Yeah.
Salty?
There's actually an article that came out that said like digital media sales, especially like specifically for video games, is up by leaps and bounds. You know what I'm saying? So you can see where this guy's coming from. Like he probably got some figures handed to him, and then he just went full blown. Hey, this is what's happening. It's obviously a trend. So boom, it's gonna be 100%. So he's kind of thinking in that black and white mode. And as human beings, it's easy to slot into that. But we got to remember that people are kind of stubborn when it comes to change, and it takes time. And a lot of people just aren't going to fully accept certain avenues for entertainment. So there's always got to be options. If you don't provide your customers options, they might go somewhere else, So,
I'm glad actually you brought that up because I actually had that in the back of my mind and it slipped. I
mhm.
want to talk about that because the options is the key word, and that really good on you for bringing that up, Salty. When you talk about the next generation, right? The next round of consoles. Microsoft, in my opinion, is the company that's thinking outside of the box, right? They're offering this three-prong attack that we've been talking about. Like I said, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again on today's show. I think they caught Sony with their pants down,
Yep.
and the way and why I say that is because we know that eventually there will be a mid-generational leap when the new consoles come out, very similar to the PS4 to the Pro and to the Xbox One S to the X, right? But you see the way Microsoft is doing it, it's almost it's almost a generational jump before the jump, if you know what I mean. I mean, look, you're getting the $100 to $150 xCloud, right? That is for your casual market. That's for people who don't want to, who may be a PS4 fan, may love their exclusives, may love their PS4 Pro, may have bought totally into their ecosystem, but at the same time have always kind of thought about the Xbox, and now they're hearing Game Pass, 200 plus games, first party games day one, a stout library for $10 a month, the Netflix of gaming, and all I got to spend is $100 and I get all of this. Shit, I'm in, right? So that's for your casual market, which Sony notoriously just stole from everyone this generation. Then you're going to have Lockhart, right? Lockhart is the system that's slightly more powerful than the Xbox One X, which in that in itself is amazing because the X is amazing. So it's going to be slightly more powerful, but it might be for the people who were on the fence that kind of want a little bit more powerful but don't want to go maximum. And then, of course, you have the Anaconda for the hardcore gamers like me, like you, like Welsh, like Mooch, Crap, everyone that we run with. And you can see, so what do we have here? We have choice. We've given the consumer who may be interested in physical, semi-physical, and no physical by offering the streaming box. I mean, what are your takes on this, dude?
It's just exactly what we're talking about. If you come out aggressively as a business and you say, "Hey, this is your only option," your consumer base is going to get pissed off. Number one, there's going to be some blowback. It's got to be a slow burn for some people, especially when you're implementing changes. You can't just expect people to change the way they think or the way that they do things immediately. So when Microsoft decided to announce some of these things, they're kind of like, hey, this is an option. This is not, 100% like we're switching to this. And then that, kind of diffuses the situation for some people that are stubborn or set in their ways. And, you can slowly implement it. You know what I'm saying? If you go full Monty and say, hey, this is all you get, it sounds like a parent almost. You're going to eat your vegetables and you're going to like it. You know what I'm saying? Not a lot of consumers are down with that. So if you provide them options, they could choose what they want when they want it, and they'll be part of your ecosystem. You're still making money, and that's just the way it is. And then, I mean, if they want to adopt that new technology, they can do that, but they can do that when they want to, if that makes sense. So
no, that makes perfect sense, dude. And again, choice is paramount. Yep. And it's going to give an option for the people like myself who only buy. See, the only physical media that I currently have is when I buy the collector's editions, and that's the only part of gaming that hasn't evolved because, like, and I understand, it would require a second SKU. Like, for instance, I'm buying the Resident Evil collector's edition, right? And it's going to come with the actual physical media of the game, which no big deal. But at the same time, if there would have been an option where I can get everything that's physical for the collector's edition, but get a digital code, I would have went with that option because, like I said, I enjoy showing off my stuff. But you start to run out of room when you don't have a mansion. I don't.
Yeah.
So that could be our topic for itself. But this was really good. Now we're going to move on to topic number 3. Now, look, as everyone already knows, Bungie did the absolute unthinkable and not only left Activision before the end of that terrible 10-year deal that they signed in 2010, but somehow, some way retained the rights to the Destiny franchise. Now, as of this show, it appears that Bungie is in the process and will be self-publishing Destiny 3, which, in my opinion, is a very risky proposition. Now, we all know that both Mike Ybarra and Phil Spencer love Destiny, right? I mean, that we know that they play it. But this is where it gets interesting, okay? Because Phil's such a gentleman, and I think he's one of the industry finest. he sent out a tweet, and as of this writing, 15,000 likes, 2,000 retweets, and this is what he had to say. Looking forward to a very bright future working with one of my favorite independent studios on one of my favorite franchises. Excited to see how they continue to grow and evolve Destiny. And Bungie, being the class act that they are, responded, and it was simple. Thanks, Phil. We're humbled by your words. Now, though Bungie's response was short, Phil Spencer's was applause-inducing, in my opinion, but also at the same time semi-cryptic. Now, sure, Phil Spencer reaching out to Bungie at its core, was very supportive and professional. But I'm kind of wondering if there's more to it. Now, Salty, I kind of want to get your take on this. Listen, Phil Spencer has notoriously gotten on Twitter, and he likes to drop these little, I guess, breadcrumbs, if you will. And we know Bungie is not going to sign with Microsoft. They just got out of a really bad relationship. There's not going to be any rebound here, because you got to remember they left Microsoft, jumped in bed with Activision, and they've been stuck ever since. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to try and do this on their own. But self-publishing is expensive, especially when you talk about advertising. What do you think if anything, again, I'm reaching here because I kind of want to talk about it, and I get that there's no proof of what I'm about to say, but with Phil Spencer's response, it seemed very cheeky, in my opinion. Do you think there's something behind possibly Bungie working with, not being bought, but working with Microsoft in the future, maybe even getting the rights, the publishing rights for Destiny 3?
Okay, so we had a really good conversation with the panel and everything on the Saltiest Gaming podcast. Shameless plug there. Last week, it was just a very juicy conversation, passion filled. Lots of people love Bungie. Lots of people love the Destiny franchise, Halo, all of it. There's lots of history behind Bungie. And then I was looking at that tweet by Phil Spencer and all the Xbox people. Here's the deal. It's tough to separate the fan that these guys are, and then the execs that these guys are, because it's one and the same. These guys do both, and they have one Twitter account, like Mike Ybarra, he does his stuff. And then, Phil Spencer, all these dudes were playing Destiny when, the marketing rights were with PlayStation. They were getting crap for it. And, they were being told, hey, the Microsoft people, market Destiny better than anybody else. And it's just like, they just like the game. And Phil Spencer just is a nice dude, so he reaches out. But like the amount of people that reached out from the higher ups from Xbox, it was, multi-pronged. They're reaching out because, hey, you always want to have good relationships in the industry. And this is a, possibility down the line. They're free from Activision, and especially that god awful 1 year exclusive content for Destiny, which I hate. You know what I'm saying? That's the worst timed exclusive deal that I've ever seen in video games, man. Locking people out of content for a year, especially in that type of game. So
it was egregious, to say the least.
Crazy. Xbox players having to wait until the next game comes out. Like there's, what was it? In Destiny 2, you wait, and then by the time you get the shit, you don't even care about it anymore, So as long as that deal goes away, that's a plus in itself, and stuff like that. But like, as far as Microsoft working with Bungie, I don't see anything specific happening with the Destiny franchise, because I think that Bungie wants to make as much money as possible right now. They need to, because in order to make money, you gotta put money out, and they right now, I don't know what their funds are, and especially Activision's not going to just let this title walk for nothing, right? They don't just say, hey, you could get out of a contract and not give us anything. There's something behind the scenes that
Oh yeah, for
Activision
sure.
received. Hey, you know, you want to get out of this deal early? We get stocks in the Destiny IP or something, right? They're getting something from this. So Bungie has to recuperate that money. Plus, it takes a lot of money to market it. So I don't know how they're going to go about that, but I don't think that they need to put much marketing into Destiny because everybody knows about Destiny. You know what I'm saying? It's out there. It's been done. You need to put a lot of money and marketing into IPs that aren't known. So when this was first coming out, it was important that Activision, you know, put it out there and put a lot of money into it. But right now, if you ask the average gamer, have you heard of Destiny? They'll say yes, right? So
Yeah.
it's not going to be that hard to market Destiny 3 if they do it right. So I could see Bungie working with Microsoft on another title, you know, a new IP. Hey, we'll work with you and create something, and we'll put it in Game Pass, or we'll do something exclusive with you. You know,
No,
that's what I can see.
no, no. Actually, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, we have heard there is a Chinese company that allotted Bungie $150 million for their unannounced game that's going to be coming out. It has nothing to do with Destiny, but at the same time, you know, after this whole split went very public, Bungie had this to say in a statement, and it's very interesting and telling at the same time. And I quote, "We know self-publishing won't be easy. There's still much for us to learn as we grow as an independent global studio, but we see unbound opportunities and potential in Destiny." Now, look, I understand. Of course, as Xbox fans, right away that was the running thing. Oh my God, Xbox is going to buy them. Their checkbook's open. Here we go. And I was one of the first people, I know you were as well. We're like, no, that's not going to happen because Bungie just got out of this horrible relationship, and they're not going to jump back into bed with anyone. And like I said in the beginning of this piece, I don't blame them. But at the same time, you know, it is going to cost a couple of bucks to advertise. Now, maybe they won't be doing live action commercials. I don't know. I don't know how far Destiny 3 is away from releasing. To be honest with you, I was not disappointed with Destiny 2. I put 500 hours into that game, so I played it. It's just the DLCs did not do it for me. I know that the Forsaken was supposed to be as good as the Taken King. I have it. I just haven't put enough time into it to definitively say, oh yeah, this really saved Destiny. And what they did with the Black Armory and stuff, I've heard only negative things. So they were definitely on a path where they were losing player base. And we have to take this into account, Salty. You have, regardless of whether you like the first one or not, the Division 2 is going to come, is coming. And it looks like they fixed all the mistakes from 1. I have it pre-ordered. I can't wait. And we also have to take into account that Anthem is also going to be taking a lot of the Destiny players who are unhappy with the franchise right now, regardless of whose fault it was, whether it was Bungie's, Activision's, or a combination of both. There's something wrong with Destiny 2. And it lost a lot of its player base. And now you have these two behemoths coming out. One, of course, is a BioWare original, which looks outstanding, and the Division 2, which absolutely looks fantastic. So in your opinion, Salty, do you think that with these two big games coming out, it could possibly maybe take the mindset away from Destiny, and maybe it might be a little harder for Destiny 3?
Yeah, I mean, competition is good. I've always said this, man. In the market in the beginning, you had Borderlands, and Borderlands was very popular. And now you talk to people about Borderlands, they're like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, so in this industry, it's kind of ever evolving, and especially when you start genre polluter shooters, you hear that term. It's starting to get flooded. They're going to start dumping these franchises in here, and once that happens, you're either going to rise to the top or you're going to sink to the bottom and just kind of go into nothingness. And that's just the way it is. And then what I've heard from Other people, I don't know if it's true or not. Bungie wants to do new things, like the Destiny franchise. It's something they wanted to do when they were at Halo, doing Halo and stuff like that.
Yep.
But they want to do other things like outside the shooting genre, the FPS genre. I heard originally they wanted to do some kind of like crazy RPG type, like hack and slash thing.
Really?
So yeah, like they have ideas outside of what they're doing now at Destiny. And I could see Destiny coming out with Destiny 3. So Bungie coming out with Destiny 3 and having it for whatever time it lasts, and then maybe just let the franchise chill for a while, do other stuff, and then completely reboot Destiny. Honestly, I feel like the Destiny needs a reboot at this point, because you have that Activision stink all over Destiny.
You do.
So you got to kind of give it a bath and let it chill for a while, dry off, whatever. Because if you guys didn't know, Activision had its hand in all this stuff. Like, they were telling them to change the story in the beginning, and that's why it was screwed from the beginning and didn't make any sense, because it was fractured. It was like a year before it was launching, and they said, hey, you need to change a lot of this stuff. The fan base isn't going to get it. So they try to scramble, and then it was fractured, and then people say the story sucks. It's just like, when you're starting from that foundation and then you go into it, like I said, there's a stank there. So you come out with Destiny 3, let it sit for a while, reset the whole thing. That's what I think they need to do, honestly. So,
you brought up a point that I did not consider. Let me throw this out there. I'm gonna bounce this back to you, and I kind of want to get your take on this. Now, this is a stretch, okay? But there's also there might be some truth to what I'm about to say, and it's outrageous. Mm-hmm. Yes, I know. Sometimes Boom says outrageous things, and if I F up, I will stand by it. What if, Salty? What if that they just continue finishing off Destiny 2 and work on the new IP and do not bring out a Destiny 3 for a while, simply exactly to what you said about there being an Activision stink? Let's say, for instance, they say, we're going to finish giving the fans of the Destiny franchise everything we promised in 2, and put 3 on hiatus for 4 years, 5 years, and work on their new IP. Because listen, there might be some truth to what I'm saying. And this is where the detective skills come in. If they were not ready to go, why would, if you and I were these Chinese investment guys who have, $3,000 suits and $50,000, cars, if we were going to give someone $150 million to work on the next IP or the next big thing, I wouldn't do that unless they were ready to go and do it.
Yeah.
So what if what you're saying is taken to the 10th level and says, okay, it does have stink on it. Activision, it has its fingerprints. We have to wash this away. We kind of want to get away from anyone remembering that Activision had anything to do with this. Let's put this to bed for 5 years. Come back after we launch our new IP. Is that a possibility?
I mean, anything's a possibility, right? But I think that $100 million from the Chinese company, I think that's not that much in the grand scheme. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're talking about development, publishing, all this other stuff, I don't know. I'm not a game developer, but I think it takes a lot more than that to say, hey, we're going to dodge away from, Destiny for a while. Who knows how far they are into development for Destiny. Destiny 3 specifically, because Activision behind the scenes, they're pushing a hard schedule, for Bungie, and then Bungie was hiring all these secondary people to help them because they just didn't have the ability to get this content out. So I don't know who's going to stay, who's going to go, how far they've gone into their story. So if they've gone pretty far into it, I wouldn't see them going, hey, we're going to take a step back here and then we're going to pull the reins back. I think they're going to go with what they got so far and try to fix the things that they can fix, you know, like some of the things that the community doesn't like or the schedules they don't like, but they ultimately have the say when they want to get content out. So if they wanted to get Destiny 3 out in 2022, 2023, or Destiny 3 and whatever, they set the guidelines now, right? They're independent. They don't have Activision stockholders telling them what to do. So if they feel like it's the best for them to wait on it, develop it, and give it some time, they can do that. And that's the cool thing, you know. Activision, when they had control, they said, hey, you don't get this out in certain time, we're going to control the IP. We get the IP, you know. So it's good that they have the say now, because they can control their own destiny.
Yeah. Very. I like what
Yeah.
you did there.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, you know what? I met Sen in the chat, wanted to for us to talk about, and I didn't have it on the docket, but I kind of want to bring it up because there's been rumblings. He's talking about IO Interactive opening up a new studio in Sweden.
Yeah, I heard about this.
And you know, when you talk about IO Interactive, for me anyway, I've been a longtime fan of Hitman. Now, I'm granted, I did not buy Hitman 2. I was all in on Hitman 1, got the collector's edition, no surprise there, folks. And, you know, didn't put as much time. The game was hard. I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, I got spotted every time. I should have probably played it on easy. And, you know, after the finish of Hitman 1, where it was episodic, there were rumblings way back in early 2018 that IO Interactive, we know they separated from to do their own thing, right? They pulled a Bungie. And right away, of course, everyone was like, yeah, Microsoft, they need to buy them right away. And that fire was put out very quickly. You know, I think if I recall the story correctly, IO wanted to stay independent. And that's not surprising because, you know, being your own boss rules, which is why you and I, you know, we do our own shows. We don't work for anyone, so we can put out the content that we want to put out there. And I like that. I'm not saying I wouldn't take a job from, let's say, I don't know, as a community manager for Xbox or Ubisoft. If you guys are listening, I'm waiting by the phone. So please ring it and I will answer immediately. But, you know, IO Interactive opens up a second studio. Now, look, Hitman 2 did well review-wise. Game looks fantastic. If you like the original, you're probably going to really enjoy this. But it didn't sell that well. And it might be because the holiday season is nowhere to release a smaller title because it just gets buried. I mean, that's just the bottom line. But, you know, again, now the poker has been once again put into the fire, and I'm kind of playing with the, you know, with the little bit of fire that's left, and it's heating up with the possibility of IO actually being obtained by Microsoft. And this information comes to us from the so-called insider Clobriel. Now, he did say on his Twitter that he did not have any solid confirmation and he didn't want to make any predictions that didn't come true. But he has heard rumblings. So, Salty, with that said, in your opinion, with Microsoft looking to fill the gap on certain genres that they may not have people in-house to do you think that IO Interactive and the Hitman franchise would be a solid win for the Xbox platform?
Well, here's the deal. If Xbox wants one of these devs, I mean, they have the checkbooks, right? They can put zeros down there until they the people say, hey, okay, that's enough. But IO Interactive, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's just preference because, you know, gaming comes down to preference, obviously. I'm not a big Hitman fan, you know. I don't know why the game hasn't really spoken to me. I know there's been plenty of opportunities for me to play this game, and I've tried it out, and it's just not for me, you know. And they do episodic content, and I think that kind of hurt the last game that came out. I don't know, man. IO Interactive. If I think that it would fit well in Game Pass. But I don't know if that would be my number one choice if I was to say, hey, we're trying to fill out the lineup for Xbox Game Pass. What do we have left? IO Interactive is definitely someone we should target because we need to fill so this gap or that gap for these genres, if that makes sense. But that comes down to personal preference, right? Some people said that Remedy would be a good option for Xbox, and I've been kind of against Remedy because I said, what have they put out of nature that's been a critical success or sold well, for example? And then when you're looking at these things, you could say, hey, when Microsoft's looking at buying some of these studios, it's good to come in there when they're kind of on their low point because you can get them on the cheap.
Right.
So you're not going to be buying studios that are putting out like bangers, like selling 9 million or something like that. So it's hard to say, man. I would say no for me. Long story short.
Okay, I mean, look. Here's the thing. Why I think, I'm gonna, again, we don't always agree, and that's great.
Which is good.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go on the other side of the coin here and say, I think they should pick them up. And I think they should pick up the Hitman franchise because listen, I don't necessarily think that every developer that the Microsoft hires is going to be putting out AAA content left and right, and we're just going to have, we're not going to know what to do with our wallets. But at the same time, original content. When you talk about Game Pass, we know there's 200 games. We know it's $10 a month. Again, I always say this: if you're savvy like me, you get the 6 months for $30, which is what I did. I'm paid up into almost the end of 2020. And I didn't spend a lot because I'm again, I don't have a lot of money. I'm not the richest dude in the world, so you got to be a budgeter gamer, and Game Pass is something I want to support. But I got it on the good deal. With that said, I'm gonna immediately turn this over to a Netflix conversation a bit because Netflix in the beginning, it was just discs, right? It was just, hey, get your 3 discs a month and send them back when you're done and whatever. And now you look at them, they're making money over hand over fist. The company is a big success. Why? Original content. Original content on Netflix is absolutely fantastic. I use Netflix. I know a lot of people don't. My wife and I use Netflix 7 days a week. We're big movie buffs. We like binge watching shows. That's just what we do. It's our downtime. Mrs. Boomstick enjoys movies. She's a huge movie buff. And now we take it back to Game Pass. Now, Game Pass, as great as it is, and it's great. A lot of new games get in there. Great. First party stuff in there. Great. Original content. That is something that Microsoft is going to have to tighten up, and we know it's coming. And we know it's coming because all of the studios that they purchased are going to be making first party content, and that's the content that's going to be going in there. And I think they need more. I would like to see them maybe add 2, possibly 3 new studios in 2019, and I think we've heard that. So we've actually heard rumors of those 2 numbers, between 2 and 3 in 2019. And I think IO Interactive is a developer that has a storied history. And to be completely fair, I don't necessarily know that if you do get them, that you immediately have them work on a Hitman 3. Why? There are so many incredible IPs that Microsoft has in their back pocket. Not to mention, who's to say that IO Interactive themselves don't have something in the work that's not Hitman, but they just couldn't afford to do it. What are your takes on that, dude?
It's just it's tough for me because you got to draw a fine line in between, like trying to see how successful their current IP is and what they're doing on there. So you could look at like the way the game looks or how it plays and stuff like that. Because it's weird because you could have a company that goes like Guerrilla Games, for example, and then they produce one thing with Killzone, then they do something with Horizon Zero Dawn's completely different. So you're like, could anybody see that coming? No, probably not. So if you're judging that studio based off of one IP and then you see another, it's tough, right? You're like, hey, what is their content? So yeah, like IO could pull something out of their ass and it'd be completely different than Hitman. But at this time, Hitman, I don't see, like, if I did a, you know, I asked the chat, like, hey, you a fan of Hitman? It's like lots of twos out there. And I don't think that Hitman is just, you know, as Mooch and Crap say, it's not my bag. I don't think it's a bag for a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people give two shits about Hitman, honestly. And that's a salty take there. But as far as IO making different stuff, yeah, they could go a different direction and stuff like that. And if you could get them on the cheap, hell, do it. Because there's, you know, tons of developers out there and stuff like that. So yeah, but when it comes to the Hitman franchise, that's a nay for me. But if you were to say, hey, IO could come in and do something else, yeah, I'd be down for that.
Yeah, I agree. It's great that we don't always, agree on everything. Again, you would pass on it, I would take it, and but then again, you know, I might pass on it if they do a Hitman 3. You might take it if they do something new and different. And you brought up Guerrilla Games, which is a great point. No one saw Horizon Zero Dawn coming. I mean, listen, I get it. There are a lot of people that don't like that game. Well, I'm here to tell you, I absolutely adored everything about it, especially Aloy as a character. And no one could have predicted that a first-person shooter, because I hate Killzone. I think it is a terrible FPS. I bought them all. You know, I had the collector's edition with that, with the head that sat on my shelf, for years, and I never got around to enjoying it like I would another FPS. So to see them do something so different, so drastically out of their wheelhouse, that it blew everyone away. I'd love to see IO Interactive do that. I want to thank Ahmet Sen for kind of bringing that up, because that was a topic that was not on the docket. So I'm glad we were able to attack that. But let's move on to the next topic, Salty. According to a Forbes.com article, which was amazing, I read the whole thing top to bottom, twice actually. Xbox losing the console war looks like the best thing to happen to gaming in years. Now let's break this down. According to the article, it says fanboys and pundits breathlessly promote the foolish and counterproductive idea of a console war every time a new console generation arrives. Competition in the console space is generally a good thing for everyone, and that is absolutely true. It drives competitors to innovate in ways that benefit players and increase sales. Selling consoles is not a zero-sum game. More than one platform can succeed, and the more that they do, the better opportunities that are for the players like us, and of course the console makers, to continue supporting that brand. Now, the article continues with stakeholders were yammering for Microsoft to sell off the Xbox and get out of the console business when it became clear that the PS4 was doing much better in the marketplace. Fortunately, and thank goodness for everyone who loves video games, Satya Nadella did not listen to this nonsense. Microsoft shed the Xbox management team responsible for the launch, and Satya Nadella put Phil Spencer in charge in March of 2014. The result has been a steady stream of innovation, and that the Xbox is squarely focused on the next generation. Now, Salty, we obviously heard that there were rumblings when the Xbox, we know what 2013 was. It's a black eye for Microsoft. It's always going to be remembered as such. In your opinion, and again, I know what you're going to say, but I'm going to ask anyway, because it's a good talking point. Was Satya Nadella right to put Phil Spencer in charge and get rid of, basically trim the fat of the Xbox marketing team?
Man. Yeah, dude. Satya Nadella, man, shout out to him. I love that guy. I love Phil Spencer, man. You call me a fanboy, you call me whatever you want, dude. I see those guys and I see what they're doing, not only in Microsoft, but just outside in communities and outreach programs. Anyway, that's off target, but man, yeah, put Phil Spencer in place, man. Look at what he took over. It was like some the wheels are falling off the car. You got to take it into the shop. I mean, the engine's full of gunk. Got to, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
he, it's like he went to the junkyard and pulled some thing that was like about to die, and he turns it into this gem. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of work that Phil's got to do. You got to trim the fat, man. You can't just go immediately into being this super bodybuilder. You got to do some things for prep, man. You can't go to like bench press 500 pounds immediately. You got to build your way up. So yeah, it was kind of tough at the beginning when Phil Spencer took over, and a lot of people were giving him shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I remember specifically when I first got in the community, I was trying to back up Phil Spencer and saying, hey, it takes time. And people were like, oh, what has he done? I mean, no games, no games, no games. He's cutting studios and doing this and that. And then they didn't see the bigger picture, you know? And then things started to change a little bit. And then people started coming around and not being less aggressive, but they were calling for Phil Spencer's head, like a couple years in.
Yeah.
And they were saying he wasn't doing his job and he was too nice and he was this and that. And it's just like, look at it now. He's getting tanner every time he goes on stage.
Yep.
At these press conferences, wearing his sport coat, has some swag in his step, and everybody's all about it now. And that's just the way it goes in this YouTube scene. A lot of the haters, when they're wrong about things, they just disappear. They're not going to claim, they're going to be like, oh, my bad. Phil Spencer actually is a good thing. Now they just disappear and they just stop talking. So yeah, really good, man. There's lots of people that were in there that needed to go. They're gone. And now they're starting to get people in place like Matt Booty and all these other people. They're dividing up the divisions within the studios like it should be, working together and all that other stuff. So yeah, I think it was a great decision.
I got to do it real quick. I want to address somebody in the chat. Other Zinc, he says stockholders, and in all caps, we're not wanting to get rid of the Xbox division. Xbox Live, Halo, Gears made them a lot of revenue. You guys are wrong. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Zinc. Okay, you're entitled to your opinion. Okay, and I'm not shouting you out to shame you in any way. You're always in the chat, and I appreciate you coming and supporting this channel. I really do. But here's the thing. I'm reading directly from the Forbes.com article. This is not something that, I do have my own original content, and that's a lot of the stuff that I write. But when it comes to actual facts that I'm pulling from an article, I read verbatim of what the article is saying. So please, don't take it out on me and Salty because you don't think that this is true. This has been fact checked numerous times. We're not the first podcast to say that Microsoft was on the ropes. I'm sorry to say that was a fact, dude. So again, I appreciate your support. I appreciate you coming and hanging out in the chat. And of course, you're entitled to your opinion, but understand the information that I'm giving today is information I pulled directly from an article I got 3 days ago. Well, so
here's the deal. We talk to people behind the scenes that are bigger than us and they have connections and they talk to people or whatever. I've had multiple conversations with people that talked about that time before Game Pass, before Phil Spencer was promoted, like the Terry Myerson days.
The human roadblock, as he's been known to be. He's cool.
Yeah, like he didn't give a shit about gaming. I'm pretty sure that he thought it was a detriment to Microsoft. You know what I'm saying? It was a secondary thing. It's all but factual out there that Microsoft, before the Game Pass situation, Game Pass honestly saved gaming when it comes to Microsoft, because if Game Pass didn't come up, I don't know where the Microsoft Xbox situation would be. I fully probably would have expected it probably would have been sold off or something would have happened, because if you look at Microsoft, when they feel like something's not working out, they just shut it down, like Zune, some other examples. Like if it's not providing results the way that they see, and it's not providing money, because it's a business in the end. They're nearing $1 trillion in net worth. It's not like they're going to just let divisions go off and not make money like Sony. You know what I'm saying? It's just they got to make. I'm just kidding. But anyway, it's just like Microsoft found out this whole Game Pass situation, and they said, "Hey, this is going to be the future of gaming.
Yep.
Let's fully invest in this." And then that turned everything around. But like during those times, you guys remember, 2016 was so bad.
It was.
2017, dry, cutting, closing studios, cancellations. It was bad, man. But we're out of that, and yeah, it took time to get out of that mindset, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. You see, and the thing is this, Salty, both of us in the past have discussed privately through DMs and on different shows that you and I both been a part of, that Microsoft getting kicked in the teeth this generation was an eye-opening experience that they needed to basically happen. We know. Listen, I'm going to say this, and I might be repeating myself like crazy. It is a fantastic time to be an Xbox gamer. Their future is so bright that you may need 2 pairs of sunglasses, and 2019 looks to be the turning point of the platform, because we know that the big things are coming. Yes, there were rough waters. So you said it. 2016, very rough. 2017, extremely rough. 2018 started to get a little less choppy, and and now we're moving into 2019, and we know big games are coming. And of course, I want to segue into the next topic, and I'm so happy and excited to talk about it. And that, of course, is Crackdown 3. And why I'm stoked, why I'm excited, why I am tickled pink is because a story that I pulled from GamesRadar.com, and in the title of the story was this quote: "Destruction on a grand scale, courtesy of Microsoft's Azure Cloud Tech." Now, there are very real, incredible things happening here because of this technology. And I think it's safe to say that Crackdown 3 is and will surprise a lot of the gaming community. Like, again, if you guys follow me on Twitter, I kind of had a little bit of a public go back and forth with someone who's a fan of the show, and again, I'm not even going to name the guy because it's not important. The debate, at the end of the day, we shook hands, we went our separate ways, and we both had the opinion he doesn't like Crackdown 3. He didn't ask for Crackdown 3, but then again, I did, and I'm a Crackdown fan, so I'm super stoked. But in this article, they talk about a particular scene where the agent is perched atop a towering skyscraper. And what basically happens is that he fires all of these rockets. The building collapses onto the 5 agents that they're fighting, because it was 5v5. It's the multiplayer we're talking about. And everyone is scrambling for cover as the building is falling on top of them. And from the distance, because he was able to get off such good shots, all you saw was the dog tags. So you had to run and collect those dog tags before they respawned. Let me tell you something, dude. Okay. The one thing that Crackdown is going to do that no one has done before is destruction on a grand scale. And I cannot wait to play this game. Salty, I want to get your takes on this. First of all, the Azure servers are going to become the standard. So that's a separate topic. Mm-hmm. But for now, how excited are you to see Crackdown 3? And more importantly, will you be smiling from ear to ear when it's a success?
All right, there's some things that we got to look at here. There's an article that came out this from Microsoft. I think it was a press release. They said they're excited to share future technologies with the community. This is like a paraphrase, right? It's not, don't quote me on this, but they said they're excited to reveal future technologies along that line. I think they're specifically talking about these cloud servers and what's going on in Crackdown. We've been hearing about this since before 2013, right? It became a joke at a certain point.
Yeah.
I was talking about it because Microsoft loves to come out with stuff they have all their number crunchers behind the scenes crunching their numbers, and they see the trends, specifically like Connect, or they come out with the Connect early and then it goes mainstream. They just jump the gun a lot, right? But if you look at Microsoft, they know trends. They know what's coming. I don't know if it's some secret, mind computer behind the scenes like predicted the future here, but yeah, they kind of know what's going on with technology. And with this cloud functionality, they've been talking about it for a while. And it was actually, I was like, man, they talk about the cloud so much, they should have a cloud mascot, come out at E3 and just do a dance every time they talk about the cloud, or you should take shots every time you hear it. But actually, we're going to see the fruition of what they've been talking about since 2013.
Yeah.
So 5 years, what is it? 2019. So 6 years later, man, seems like forever, right? But I think they're actually going to deliver on their promises. And the multiplayer is the thing that gets me the most excited, because, you look at the single player, it looks fun. They were saying it was going to be 4-player co-op. It's been downgraded to 2. It's still going to be fun. The co-op situation, the single player is going to be fun. But I'm just excited to see what happens in that wrecking zone, because it just looks like different. And I'm all about different when it comes to video games. I want to see new stuff. I don't want to keep seeing the same shit over and over. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can only do team deathmatch in an FPS so many times, right?
Yep. Yes.
So when you're floating around, jumping around, shooting buildings are blowing up and falling down, that's different. And that's something that I want to see. And I think it's something that can catch on, and you can go in there with your buddies and have a lot of fun. And the fact that they're going to be delivering on this cloud tech that everybody said that was never going to happen, that's pie in the face for the haters, because they said Crackdown 3 was going to be canceled. It's not going to be canceled. They said the cloud tech's never going to come out. It's not going to happen. It's going to happen. So you can see these things start to pile up, and the negativity just got to get blown back. They got to show the proof in the pudding to kind of get the stank off of it. It's the stank again. #stank. You got to get that stank off.
I love it. That's
so
great.
I think it's going to be awesome. It's going into Game Pass, so it's a win-win situation for this game. There's no way it's not going to fail. Obviously, it's just how good is it going to do?
There was a particular quote from this article that I kind of want to throw out there for the listeners, and I thought it raised my eyebrows, to be honest with you, because you don't really see publications being this bold. And this is what they had to say, and I quote: "We won't bore you with the specifics, as it's all extremely complicated. A technical accomplishment that Microsoft Game Studio admits it only has gotten working as intended in the last 12 months or so. But you should trust us when we tell you that it's pretty goddamn spectacular." Now, look, here's the thing, okay? You and I talked about it yesterday on your show about how Guerrilla Games went into Kojima's studio and was like, "Oh my God, my face melted off. I'm crying," right? And we were like, yeah, that sounds like a load of shit, because it's PS talking about PS, right? Well, this publication has nothing to do with Microsoft, and we know how hard the media has been, not only on Microsoft, but on this particular game. Salty, you called it. The negativity around this game is nothing short of crazy. So for someone to go in, see the game, play the game, and come out and make a statement like this tells me that they've done something unthinkable. And maybe, I don't know, maybe, just maybe, it's going to be an unbelievable game. What do you think about this statement, dude?
Yeah, man, it's like, how many times could you go in network and say, hey, it's like having Disney people go in and watch the new Star Wars, right? Oh my God, it's a 10 out of 10. It's better than Empire Strikes Back, and it really sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like, what else are they going to say? Oh my God, it was horrible. Like, what is Disney thinking? You are Disney. You need to get this out there. So like, yeah, you got to get people from the outside taking a look at this, and people that aren't paid generally or are not under the checkbook, and they got to see it. It's just kind of like, I'm a big fan of Skill Ups. Shout out to him. And he did a video about Metro,
Yeah.
And Metro wasn't on my most anticipated, but when he talked about it and started showing video about it, because I respect his opinion.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, man, I went to Microsoft Australia, but they gave me like a donut or whatever, and I had to drive myself. He's like, I'm not paid to go there. So he was giving his general, honest opinion. He's saying this is the best graphically game speaking on console. And I was like, damn, I mean, you're getting me hyped for this game. So you draw people from the outside. They start looking at this game and the reviews start coming in. If you get more and more of these reactions, what do you say? It's a goddamn something spectacular game. You get these huge like buzzwords coming out about this game, and that's when things start to change, right? Because things can either spiral downward very fast in social media, or they can go up really fast. So if things start trending, a lot of people on social media are like sheep. You call them sheeple. They start doing whatever the trend is. So if it starts trending up, it's going to trend up. It doesn't matter the history. So if this game is good, like this person is saying, or the reviewers are saying, it's going to go that way and it will trend up, if that makes sense. So.
No, it makes perfect sense, dude. I mean, look, here's the thing. I'm going to be a little bullish here. And even though, listen, I don't hold any of these reviews from Metacritic to the highest standard, because first of all, the user reviews are a joke, especially when people are giving a game a 0. I just think it's ridiculous. But I think I'm going to go out on a ledge here, and it's a very thin ledge, so I could fall off and right on my face, and that's fine. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. I'm going to go out on a ledge here and say that not only is Crackdown 3 going to surprise people, like we've already said, but I also am going to go out on a limb and say that I think it's going to hit like the 82, 83 Metacritic score, because people are going to go right. Listen, I'm a single player dude, and I am absolutely beside myself excited to find all 1,000 blue orbs that are in this. The original had 500. I found them all. This time it has 1,000. Guess what? Boom is going to find them all, because Boom really enjoys it. Okay, I like the collectability of it. I like super powering my agent. I cannot wait to get into this. And more than likely, I'm not even going to design my own character. I'm probably going to use the Terry Crews one, because I really like him as an actor and I think he's hilarious. So I'm probably going to use the standard character as that. But more importantly, I'm going to stand on my ledge here and say 82, 83. I think Wrecking Zone is going to surprise a lot of people. And you're a Call of Duty guy, right? So you obviously know what Kill Confirmed is. It's actually one of my. I don't play it a lot. I mean, again, people have heard me say that I don't really play Call of Duty a lot. But when I did play, I enjoyed Kill Confirmed. It's probably my favorite mode. Well, Agent Hunter is the mode in Crackdown 3 that they were playing, where you had to collect the dog tags. And I think that's pretty cool. They also have something else called Territories, which sees teams battle it out for control over ever-shifting territory spaces across the landscape, and is forever changing as the battle rages on. Now, that in itself is a unique mode. I got a question for you, because this has not been spoken about, and I don't know if it has any legs. Again, this is just Boom speculating. I have not heard absolutely anything. But in your opinion, because this is going to be running off of the Azure cloud, because we know it's 5v5, do you see them ever adding a kind of battle royale kind of ish mode? Maybe not 50, maybe not 100, maybe it's 25 people, maybe it's 20. What do you think about that being possibly, because they said they're going to add to this game? More modes are coming. I'm interested in that. What are your takes on that, dude?
Highly doubtful.
Okay.
Would be my opinion there. It's just you have to, the game has to fit that mode. So there has to be like attachments. I don't think that exists in this game. I think it's just gun pickups. So you need to have like armor pickups, attachments. There's things that you got to pick up to modify your guns. You see some of these battle royales, they have different things that sets them apart. Fortnite has building. Like there's things that could happen in this game that would be cool in a battle royale setting, the destruction or whatever. But it would have to be bigger. I just don't see it working for Crackdown, honestly. And then just with the kill confirm thing, it's actually one of my least favorite.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, it's weird because when I get a kill and then I have to go collect a
I
dog
gotcha.
tag to
I
finish
gotcha.
my 50% of credit. It sucks because a lot of time it will force you. I could see where people like it, but I don't like it. I like getting points for killing people, if that makes sense. So.
No, I mean, listen, it makes perfect sense. But you know what? Listen, we are coming up on the 90-minute mark soon in about 16 minutes. So I want to finish off with this particular topic. We may get another one in there. Sea of Thieves download size to shrink roughly by 50% on the Xbox One and PC. Now, I find that to be, it's puzzling. I blatantly admitted it. Sea of Thieves is not a game for Boom, but I was one of the first people. I'm sure there were many, but one of the first people in the circles we run in to get up there and congratulate Rare and their entire team. I think the game is absolutely gorgeous to look at. I know that I've been asked by many people in the community, Boom, why don't you play it? We'll get you out there. We'll take down a fort. Look, here's the thing. I again, it's no surprise. I might have said it once during the show already. I'm a single player dude. If Destiny would have been only an online game, I probably would have never played it. But they gave the player an opportunity to have a story and still be involved with other players in a real world that was ever evolving. And I kind of think that, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, is where Sea of Thieves missed the mark for me. I wanted a single player campaign. I understand that it was originally meant for multiplayer, but not everybody wants to play multiplayer games. I'm one of them. Sometimes I just want to sit on the couch, play Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and don't worry about anyone coming into my game and killing me. That's just how it is. But what are your opinions on this? Because I know this is a last minute story. I didn't even have it in the show notes. I just saw it, and I wanted to get your opinion on this. We know that Sea of Thieves has changed drastically, and again, I've heard so many great things from the community about how the game is so different and that it's such a better game. What are your takes on them reducing the file size by 50%? I mean, do you think that we have something bigger coming down the line, and that's why they had to do it?
It's ironic that a water-based game is talking about shrinkage. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think it's a good thing. Honestly, it's just this technology needs to be implemented across the board when it comes to these games. Man, file size is getting into the 120 gigs situation. Like, these file sizes are ballooning. So the fact that they can get Sea of Thieves and shrink that file size down, I think that's cool, man. Other than the fact that you have to uninstall the game completely and then reinstall it. So, if you have data caps, then RIP there. But I'm not sure what they're doing to do that behind the scenes, because it's going to keep the same fidelity and graphics, and they actually added content from when the game came out. But yeah, I think it's a great thing for people that have storage problems when it comes to their digital library. So
Yeah, here are the exact numbers. Xbox One standard is going from 35 gigs to 10. That's a big drop off.
that's big.
Xbox One X going from 47 to 25. Also pretty stout. And the Windows 10 PC, of course, 47 gigabytes to 27. So it is a big drop off for all of them. I'm just wondering what they're going to be doing on the back end of this. I don't know. I mean, look, it's. I feel like a big update is coming. I really do. Here's my question to you now. Do we know if Sea of Thieves is currently running on the Azure servers?
I've heard things, because there's people complaining on Twitter, surprise surprise, but they were saying that they need dedicated servers. So I don't know if they were just speaking out of turn or whatever. So I can't really say or not, because I have experienced lag in that game. I don't think they are, but maybe people in the chat, if you guys know, you can let us know. I'm not sure, honestly. Boom. So
Well, you know what? I'm kind of wondering if somewhere behind the scenes it's being moved, and that's why there's going to be such a large reduction in file size.
yeah,
Because we know that once it goes into the cloud, it makes everything better. You know what I'm saying? Like magic. So I don't know. It's pretty interesting. Again, listen, I don't know if I'm ever going to get to see it, Thieves. It's just again, it's just like you said, it's just not my bag.
yeah.
But I'm okay with that. Listen, if you enjoy it, good on you. I think it's a fine game. I wish Rare all the success in the world. I'm hoping that sometime down the line, in some sort of an expansion, that they offer a single player story. I really want to know about the world, and I don't think you could learn much by just getting shot by everyone that comes across your path, because that's literally what happened to me. I was actually the straw that broke the camel's back. If you guys want to know a quick story, I was in a shop. I was a couple. The game was a couple days old. I was just looking at the wares, and I got shot dead. That happened twice. I said, you know what? I've come to the realization that this game is just not for me. And I moved on. But you know what? I want to talk about another topic. And this is interesting. We talked about, Bungie. And when you talk about Bungie, you, of course, besides thinking of Destiny, you're going to think of Halo. And Halo, the Master Chief Collection, gets another big update with modern aiming, bug fixes, and plenty more. This story I pulled from GameSpot.com. And what they say in the article is this: the first thing you'll notice with the update is that the Halo Master Chief Collection menu screen now has a winter makeover, which I think is pretty cool. The animation menu screen shows snow falling on a warthog. It's peaceful and serene. The new title screen replaces the flood-inspired screen that launched to mark and celebrate the game's flood event that started in October. I missed that. Did you play that? The flood event?
No, I didn't.
Man, I've missed the mark with the Halo Master Chief Collection. I really got to get into my favorite Halo of all time is Halo 3. I played the multiplayer like a dog chewing on a bone. But here's my question to you. Again, what's amazing about 343 and the Halo Master Chief, more importantly, is that the game is old. The game is very old. Obviously, it launched with a tremendous amount of backlash. A lot of things weren't working. I played mostly the single player stuff because I wanted to see it in the better graphics, and I really didn't get involved with the multiplayer until after it was fixed. But what I have to give them credit for, and I don't think they get enough credit for this, Microsoft in particular, is that even though this game is old as hell, it's still getting updates. Salty, does the dedication of 343 to not only this game, but the Halo franchise give you hope that Halo 6 is going to be that good?
Well, if you look at it, they should be putting the work in for the Master Chief Collection because that's their baby, man. It's Halo. Like you gotta put the work in. If it sucks, that's gonna look really bad for you. But yeah, I got a cough right here. Sorry, I still got like some cough. It's like sometimes it acts up, but yeah. I'm glad that they're supporting the game, and I think they're going to do great things for Halo Infinite. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay, dude. Cough away, brother. Cough away.
Anyway. So yeah, 343, I think they've learned their lessons with the Halo Master Chief Collection. And it's cool to see these updates, but like, man, winter's fully progressed here. It's like, couldn't you guys get this menu screen taken care of a little bit sooner when it, maybe December or something like that? But it's cool that they're changing it up. What is this modern shooting mechanic that you talked about? Like, is that aiming down sights? What is that about? Like,
you know what? I haven't experienced it. Like I said, I pulled the article. I'm going to load up the Master Chief Collection today after I'm done playing Onimusha, which, by the way, shameless plug for Capcom. Please support this game. It is absolutely gorgeous on the Xbox One X. Again, it's in a game from 2001. one, so they can only do so much work to it. But if you want a new Onimusha, or like me, want an HD port of 2 and 3, get out there and buy this game. It's $20. I think I sold it to Salty this morning, and I'm not getting anything from Capcom. But in regards to the Halo update, I'm gonna actually look into it a little bit further. I just wanted to bring it up, the fact that they are still supporting it. But I have another topic because we have a few minutes, Salty.
Yeah. Cool.
And this is where I think the industry has completely gone out of control. And it involves Fortnite, and it involves Forza Horizon 4. And according to this article that I pulled from Windows Central, Forza Horizon 4 removes the Carlton and Floss dances as Fortnite faces lawsuits. Now, look, guys, you ever heard the saying, people do things that ruin it for others? This lawsuit thing is sickening because, when you submit a dance, from what I've been told, and I think you actually mentioned this yesterday, when you submit something to a company, it becomes theirs. Is that how that works? Oh,
sorry,
Salty?
sorry,
Okay.
sorry, I was muted. Yeah, so basically, they're gonna have terms and conditions, like if you do contests or whatever. Basically, if you're submitting it, you're just handing over the rights to that property. But that was for the orange shirt kid when they were doing a contest. But like, if you're doing dances, there's like all these legal stipulations, like when you create choreography. And Nick was talking about it. It's super convoluted, man. What it comes down to is, Epic is making billions of dollars off of Fortnite, and people want that money for free, right? So it's tough because it's like, where do you draw the line? I make a dance, I start swinging my arms around. I make a dance, it goes viral, and then people can't make emotes off of it. It just kind of spoils the fun,
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree.
It's tough.
I mean, look, again, it's a shame that okay, Fortnite is involved, and they're being sued, which I don't think it's going to go anywhere, to be honest with you. But Microsoft responds because they don't want to be, listen, they don't need any shade thrown their way. Speaking of so shady, I'd like to welcome him. He's in the chat. Thank you so much. He's going to be on tomorrow's Breakfast with Boom. Thank you for popping in. And Microsoft doesn't need any shade thrown on them. They're really riding high right now. So, in your opinion, this is an opinionated show. There's really no right or wrong. It's just your opinion. Do you think it was smart for Microsoft to remove these two dances from Forza Horizon 4 just not to be involved?
Yeah, you get in front of this because eventually the dam is going to break, and one of these people are going to win a lawsuit when it comes to one of these dances. And if they do win it, and then you have that dance in your game, then you can be sued as well. So they're just trying to get in front of it and make sure that they're not going to be sued. And it makes sense to me. So anything that's associated with any of these lawsuits or any of these dances that's in question, you just remove them and you go about your business. But it sucks because some of these dances are cool, man. And you're taking them out, and some people have earned them in games. And I'm sure they're not happy that they're just going to go away. So it starts this weird, you got to read between the lines and worry about getting sued as a game developer if you put emotes in your game, So.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, listen, this has been an incredible, absolutely fun episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. Once again, I have to publicly thank my very awesome co-host, Salty, from the Saltiest Gaming Network and channel, that he stepped in and basically helped me out in a big way, because obviously the Welsh had some trouble. We missed the Welsh on here. He will be back next week. He was in the chat. Thank you, Welsh, for hanging out. I know he was watching his son, and there's no way, and Salty, this with kids, you can't podcast and watch your children at the same time. It's impossible. But you know what? Before we get out of here, there are two things. One, I ask this, and if I don't, I get yelled at secretly by Mooch. Please, for the love of Jehovah, hit that like button if you enjoyed today's show. And I'm going to say this also, and Mooch never says this because he doesn't want any negative press, but I'll say it because I stand firmly that the content I put out is of the biggest quality that you can get on YouTube. I really go out of my way. I spent plenty of nights, usually 3 nights a week up to past 1 a.m. writing these shows. If you did not like the show, if I said something that pissed you off, I highly encourage you to do 2 things. 1, hit the thumbs down button, and more importantly, hit me up privately in a DM so we could discuss it like adults. Thank you for that. Again, one more thing. I would like to publicly thank J-Dubs, also known as the Graphic God. You see my new avatar. My God, it's creepy because it looks exactly like me. It's listen, it's great to look at, but at the same time terrifying. And I just want to let people know the skill that this dude has. He surprised me with this. We were talking. He's actually teaching me OBS. Very confusing. I don't know if I'm ever going to get it, but Boom is a dinosaur, so we'll see. But he sends me this. He says, "Hey, Boom, I got something for you. Take a look." And you know how he got this picture? He actually took a freeze frame of one of my unboxing videos and sketched it from that. And that in itself is absolute complete madness. The guy's skills are really second to none. So I say this. If you want a gamer pick as cool as mine, and you, my other co-host, obviously, the Welsh Gamer had his done by the incredible Graphic God, go to xboxgamerpicks.com and hit him up. I mean, listen, the service that he provides is amazing. I know he's working with someone that they've gone back 6, 7, 8, 9 times, and he will not give you your stuff until it's done right. He's a perfectionist, and what I really like about his business practice is not only does he go back and forth through DM, he'll set up a private hangouts where you guys can talk one-to-one and hash it out and get exactly what you want. So listen, if you want, his prices are super reasonable, and obviously I'm a big fan of his work. He's done all the graphic work on my channel. I highly recommend the Graphic God. Again, head over to xboxgamerpicks.com and get your custom gamer pick today. And of course, before we get out of here, I have to do the outros. And Salty, once again, listen, dude, you are my brother. All the way from Phoenix, Arizona. We've never met. Who knows? We may never meet, but I still consider you family. You really bailed me out today. I cannot thank you enough, but you have some stuff going on. Why don't you tell everyone where they could follow you on Twitter so you can go back and forth with them? Stay salty, my friends. And also check out your YouTube channel.
Yeah, Twitter, very active there. Saltiest Gaming, the I is a 1. And by the way, Graphic God did my graphic as well. So
nice.
Hit him up, man. He's good at what he does. The Saltiest Gaming podcast every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. We got special guest Mooch. Mooch is gonna be on there tonight. So
big get, dude.
Yeah, look forward to that. It's gonna be awesome tonight. And then just creating content, trying to improve the content, changing stuff, doing OBS, learning Photoshop, just trying to make the content better every day. And like I said, I'm all about the community here, so try to help people out whenever I can. And it was a pleasure to be on here today. Hopefully you guys liked it. If you did, hit that like button. Let's get 100 before we get out of here.
I appreciate that very much. And once again, I have to tip my hat, as I do often on Twitter, to this amazing community, to this amazing chat. Everyone, once again, playing nice with each other. No one shaming each other. No one using really bad language. Everyone just being proper gentlemen. And, of course, women are always welcome. We had Ice Queen Gaming in here. She's here almost every time. So thank you for her for coming and hanging out with all of these dudes. I really try to run a nice, positive chat. And again, if we disagree, it's perfectly fine. We can talk privately or we can talk on the air. I'm never going to do any kind of shaming. I think everyone's absolutely entitled to their opinion. So I just want to thank the chat for once again hanging out. Salty, thank you for stepping in big time. And I will see everyone next week with the return of the Welsh Gamer on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.